Hello and welcome to the Doñana County Clerk's Office Preserving History and Democracy podcast, or YouTube, depending on how you were listening and watching. You are walking into Season 5, Episode Lucky 13, headed to elections, so this is super exciting for us. So welcome. Again, I am the County Clerk here in Doñana County. It is always an honor to say that, and I want to introduce my colleague.
I'm Janice Giron. I'm the Supervisor of Elections here in Doñana County. I can say it's an honor for me to say that I'm the supervisor underneath Amanda because she's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I did not pay her to say that, and I
She
appreciate
didn't.
it. Although what I will say is oftentimes people will ask me questions into the weeds of elections, and I always go to Janice for my answers. She is one of the reasons that New Mexico is ranked number 1 in election administration by MIT. And when I say she's one of the reasons is because the clerks across the state, there's 32 of me, there's 33 counties across the state, administer elections in a fair, transparent, accurate way. And Janice leads the most second populous county in our state. And so as a state, that ranking means a lot to us. And I know that part of our ranking is the leadership that Janice has provided. So enough with all the compliments. We're here to give you some information. So let's talk about this upcoming regular local election. We use acronyms a lot, RLE, and that stands for regular local election. Mm-hmm. And it is coming. It is happening. So let's talk about some dates.
The election is on Tuesday, November 4th,
right.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on that day.
Yeah, so having said that, let's talk about where we are in turnout right now. When we talk about turnout, what we're saying is how many people have voted to date. And so today, we're recording this on Wednesday, so this number will increase quite a bit. But as of today, Wednesday, where are we?
Right now, it's honestly been a little slow, so I'm a little disappointed. I'm hoping everybody starts to turn out a little more the rest of this week on election day. In-person early voters, we've had approximately 4,600 absentee ballots. We've sent out 6,595, and we've had approximately 1,300 returned.
Now, the 46 approximately in person does not include that 1,300, right?
It does not.
So we are looking at about 6,000 total. We have about 125 registered voters currently. And this is approximate, right? Because there's actually like more than that, but the active ones that, basically are not on any kind of list to potentially be removed because they haven't participated in X amount of years. We're looking at about 125,000. Right. So having said that, and looking at that number and then looking at the turnout, we're not super jazzed, right? Like for me, what I think of is, one of the reasons that New Mexico changed the law in 2019 and consolidated elections is school boards, water boards, random teeny tiny elections that would happen across Doñana County growing up, myself, are not happening. It's not happening that way anymore. We have consolidated or folded in all of those teeny tiny elections into every November like clockwork. You have a ballot waiting for you. There's some folks that I hear that are like, "Oh, I live in the county. I don't vote." What do you say to that?
On the regular local election, there are not only county officials, there are county questions and school questions,
right,
that everybody in the county, not just those that live within the municipalities, can vote on.
Right, so we have 5 municipalities in Doñana County. That would be the city of Sunland Park, the city of Anthony, city of Las Cruces, the village of Hatch, and of course we never forget the town of Mesilla, and our good friend Russell Hernandez is the mayor there. So when we talk about municipalities, basically those towns who are incorporated, they live in Doñana County, and they all have elections. If you live within those areas, you may have like a city councilor on your race, on your ballot. So having said that, if you're thinking, I don't live in the city, I don't live in any of those places, you do live in Doñana County, and that means that you have a ballot waiting for you that has questions that they want to ask about where your tax dollars should go. There's always a ballot waiting for you. This is your election too, so please do not sit on this one. Head over to any of our locations across Doñana County or head over to the Government Center where we are. I want to talk a little bit about something that I think is fascinating that I had not considered.
Okay.
So last year, the legislature approved a permanent absentee list.
Yes.
I think of absentee simultaneously as mail-in. I think kind of why you're voting by mail is irrelevant. So the absentee is like, if you want to vote by mail in New Mexico, you can do that, assuming you've met all of the strict criteria, the identification, we've verified all those things. And we now have a permanent list, which means every election, like clockwork, if you're a registered voter that has gone through the process of being on that list, you get a ballot. So think about how that could change turnout, and that could change literally races that historically those folks maybe wouldn't have participated because they're like, oh, it's a local election, no biggie. Oh, I wait for the presidential, I wait for the governor's years. Those are the ones I vote in. They're going to have a ballot waiting for them. We did not consider this, I don't think, in turnout when we passed that law.
We did not consider that. I will say that, normally what we've seen as far as absentee ballots going out in a regular local election is probably what we've have returned so far, which is about 1,300. We also have a wonderful option for voters to cure their ballot. So say they forgot to sign their envelope or they forgot to write the last four of their social security number, and then we get that absentee ballot back, they're going to receive a notice saying, hey, you forgot something, but it doesn't mean that your vote isn't going to be counted. We just need that information from you.
Right. So I always say, like, the best thing about my job, and sometimes one of the most challenging, is that we have to follow the law. And the law does require us to have your signature. And so what we ask is that you also complete the exterior of the envelope. It's just better for everyone if everything is done. And so it is done as it's supposed to be. We want to count your vote. But if you don't, we're amazing in New Mexico because we give you the option of fixing it and curing it. And we contact you, then you connect with us, and you come in. And you would be surprised at how many people that really want their vote counted, and they will come in and add the social security number or the signature or things that they forgot. So, that's always an option.
We are looking at 43 ballots right now that we've asked for people to cure. So that's not a lot. But even one is it's important that we have laws in place that can support that person participating in their election, and basically what I consider a sacrosanct right is to vote. So we want to make sure that we protect that as much as we can. And statewide, New Mexico is not doing so hot either in terms of turnout. I would suspect we pulled these totals about 95,000 statewide. I'm hoping that creeped up by about 5. Maybe we're over 100,000 in real time as we speak. And we hope that Election Day is a big day, but the numbers are kind of consistently across the state. They're just kind of sluggish, I think, is the Albuquerque Journal. And Brian Sanderoff was interviewed, and he basically called it sluggish, and I don't think he's wrong. So what else haven't we covered? Ways to drop off that absentee ballot, that mail-in ballot. They can still vote. I would not recommend putting your ballot back into the mail to have it returned to our office. We also have 8 secure container drop-offs throughout the county. Those are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until 7 p.m. on Election Day. So if you can make it even to one of those locations to drop off your ballot, we'll get that.
We encourage you to take advantage of it. We encourage you to come visit us here if you want to drop it off, or if you have any questions, or again, head to dacelections.com. And those folks at each of those sites will be happy to take your mail-in ballot.
Yeah, you can drop off the mail-in ballot at any location. If you do not want to vote on that mail-in ballot, you can still go into a location and sign an affidavit for a replacement ballot and so you can put that replacement ballot in the tabulator rather than in an envelope.
And I think that's a good time to remind our voters that we do keep track. There is a high level of accountability in things we send out. We track them to the absolute piece of mail. We know what's going on. So when we tell you that, let's say that person voted by mail, sent it in, thought, wow, I don't know if it's going to make it, I'm going to vote in person. They can do that, but know that we know that there's 2 pending ballots for that individual, and we know we only count one. And if you've signed that affidavit, we're going to take take the affidavit ballot and the other one will not be counted. We cannot do that. There's no space in our system for that to happen. If somebody does vote twice, whether it's an accident or not, and they've not signed an affidavit, then we do something very simple. Again, as prescribed by law, we report them to the DA for investigation. Anything amiss we want to know about immediately, and the DA does get some things after an election. And inevitably what ends up happening is if you have inadvertently or erroneously voted twice, of course, they're not counted. But beyond that, often it is elderly people who may have forgotten. They may be having memory issues, or one of the larger ones is poll worker error. If you have an election official, if you're a junior and a senior and they could accidentally give, that just happens. It's addressed. And again, we report those to the DA just for investigation, because it's a system that has a lot of integrity, and we want to make sure to maintain that by utilizing that process. So again, absentee and mail, I use those interchangeably. If you're going to be absent on election day and you're going to use a mail-in, then we don't even need to know why. New Mexico is one of those states that you don't have. Some states you have to have an affidavit signed by a doctor. We're not one of those states. So, election day reminders. You can vote anywhere in Doña Ana County. We have a voting on demand system. So what that means basically is when you check in, we print your ballot based on your confirming your identification and signing under a 4th degree felony that it's you. Then we print your ballot based on your registration address. So there's no pre-printed ballots. And then you vote, again, because you are checking in and you're able to vote at any location because we print your ballot. Basically, we tailor it to you very specifically. So that's something that increases access as well. Let's talk about results. That always can be a little touchy for folks, and we hope this is a part of the podcast or video that you're watching that you really tune into, especially if you're a candidate. First of all, there is no requirement that results be in on election night. There's no law requirement. But our goal is always what?
So our goal is accuracy over speed.
Right.
I would rather have our office put out accurate information rather than possibly making a mistake, because we're human.
What?
Don't
tell the public that.
I know. I'm sorry.
They expect perfection.
I will also say that under state law, results are always unofficial in New Mexico until after the state canvass,
right,
which is towards the end of November.
And that can be frustrating for people. As a candidate, I've been a candidate, and to see those unofficial, I want them to say official after a while. So what that means basically is we are still working through the weeds after the election. A lot of times people think that we're done and we go on vacation the day after, but that's really a lot where the work begins for us, because what we do is we go through every single voting location. We confirm the accuracy, the counts, all of the literal signatures. So basically, when you get your ballot, simultaneously a permit or application that's basically the same thing as printed out, and you carry both of this with you. And so you put the ballot into the machine, and I always call that ding of democracy sounds, and then the permit, which is often a blue or green paper, is given to your election official. We track both of those. Mm-hmm. And if we will drive each other crazy looking for one single permit, which frankly doesn't affect the election because we already have the count, but it's accountability. And
Correct.
That is what we want on every single step of the way connected to our elections, right?
Right. I think it's important, I know when you don't work behind the scenes in elections, there are a lot of things that may seem, it might seem like we're not doing steps to make sure that things are correct. However, we have many layers. Right. So after the election, we have county canvass where we go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, match numbers and permits and applications, make sure all the numbers jive. After that, it's unofficial results, even after our county canvass is certified. Everything that we did during canvass then goes to the Secretary of State's office. The Secretary of State's office goes through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And then it has to go to be certified at the state level. And then after that, we still have an audit of precincts that are drawn by an independent auditor.
So what that means basically is a precinct, a neighborhood, they voted. We don't know which one they're going to pick. It is literally picked at random. And so it could say precinct 142. Well, we go find every single person that has voted from that precinct.
Right.
And it could be across all of the sites. So that means we have to go through every single site to make sure we have that. Because at the top it does say what the precinct is on your ballot. That's the only identifying information is the precinct, and of course it doesn't connect to a name. And so we pull all of those, and then those are counted by hand.
Yeah, we have to hand tally all
Hand
of that.
tally,
and
right.
the hand tally has to match what we did in the tabulators.
Right. And we're proud of those layers. It's a lot of work, not going to lie, but the work is worth it when we know that the accuracy of our election, that we can stand behind that. And so we happily do that. So again, reminders about election day. We want results as quickly as you do. I promise. I sit there as the county clerk, and they have seen me, evidence of me going, reload, 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 reload. And I know it doesn't automatically reload. I get maybe every 3 to 5 minutes. But I know also that the results are going in site by site, and I want to know too. So have patience with us. Know that we do always prioritize accuracy over expediency. We would love both, and we do our best to do both. Also with ranked choice voting, we have to make sure we have all of the ballots before we can run the ranked choice voting races. And so, because they may affect the rounds within ranked choice voting. Think of it as an instant runoff, and it may affect the subsequent runoffs, how somebody, if they were ranked here or there, if it goes to a certain amount of rounds, then it will affect it. So we have to wait. We don't like it either, but we are doing it. We are doing it fast. We are doing it with the support of our community and the election officials that are making sure that our community has those elections. So our goal is to start having numbers up about 7 or 8 o'clock, and that's early voting and absentee that we have on hand, or mail-in that we have on hand. And then we're waiting for all of the sites to come in one by one. Follow our socials. We are so good about updating our socials with totals. We absolutely are. We say what site is coming in. We say we're still pending Corbett Center, or we're still pending the government center. You're going to know that those are the larger sites that carry quite a few votes. So if you're a candidate or a loved one of a candidate, or you're just super invested, know that we will update our socials with what we are waiting for, and it kind of gives you an idea of where the totals are. Right? And then once those are all in, we are then still waiting to process some of the mail-in ones. The mail-in is not a single ding. It's a process. Opening first of all, looking at the exterior, confirming that all of the things there are required, looking at our roster, making sure that that person is good to go, that there's a signature there. Signature verification, then opening that envelope. That's all the things that happen before opening that envelope, pulling out the ballot, which is in another envelope, separating the two. And then at that point, opening that, and then stacking those absentee and getting them counted when we have all of them together. So know that absentee does take longer if we are processing it in what I think of as real time. If it's not something that we already have and we're doing it the election night, it's going to take a little bit of time, but we will take the time to do that. And let me ask you this question. The law changed. You know where I was going.
Yes.
The law changed. Law does that. The law changed connected to when we have to stop working. Does this matter for the local election? Because I know in the bigger elections, you have to stop working at 11. You cannot continue to have the election officials process more of what had already come in. But let's talk about that and how that has changed election night for not just us, but around the state.
So around the state, I mean, we used to work until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which kind of brought about, since we're human,
Errors.
Some errors.
That's probably a 16, 18-hour day for some folks.
Yeah. The change in the law states that any statewide election,
Which this is considered one.
Now that the law has changed,
We fold them all
from the
in.
small elections to the bigger regular local election, the local election is considered a statewide election.
Right.
So at 11 p.m. is when everything stops. So anything that has been left untouched as far as being run through a tabulator or hand tallied is picked up the next morning at 9 a.m. And that's that's
When you say
in
picked
statute.
up, it doesn't mean we go to sites and pick it up. It means
Right,
that it
we
is
already
housed.
have them in our hand.
Yes, we have them in hand. They are in secure lock and key and all those requirements. They are watched overnight. We actually have the sheriff or the police department basically sit there, and we are grateful for them, so grateful for them, our law enforcement partners, to make sure that they are as secure as they can possibly be. And then we arrive the next morning. And when I say we, I mean our election officials. We're not literally counting those votes, are we?
Our office is not. No.
We do not do that.
That's
yeah.
our board.
That's our community.
Yes. So, we're there to help if they need it, but that is the board's duty.
Right. And they swear an oath just like we do.
Yes.
Right. And again, that is the board's duty. We can help and support them with adherence to law and the process. But as far as decisions and moving forward on those things, that is literally something that our community members who have stepped up to work our elections complete. So then we don't want to exhaust them. So 11 o'clock is it. And we'll run through all the sites by then. All the sites will be in by then. It's really the ones, any hand tallies we have to do, which are the manual process of literally two people sitting there of opposing parties. I hate to say opposing, of different parties, because really, are we opposed? No. We all believe in free and fair elections, but of the two different parties, and they do a hand process if necessary, and then the mail-in, and those are time-consuming. So those are the ones that are probably going to be left hanging until the next morning at 9 a.m., correct?
That's correct. However, Cynthia and Jacob and Caroline are amazing at their jobs, and what they try to do at 11 p.m. is put out a press release stating how many ballots we have to begin with the next morning.
Right.
So if we have 1,000 ballots, say they're locked in a ballot box, the sheriff is there watching them the next morning at 9 a.m. The board gets there, they open up that box, and that's when they start tabulating those.
Is there a seal on that box?
There is a seal.
Do we have a number on that box?
It's a numbered seal.
Why I'm asking questions I know, because I really want to punctuate the security of the processes that we have in terms of we have the serial numbers, we have a judge present. I mean, I could go on and on.
There's a district judge that comes in. He has to verify that each seal written down has not changed, and then he's there also at the end of the night when we seal the boxes up.
When we say it's sealed, it's literally sealed. When it's opened, you could tell. So again, those are all the layers. And so we hope for a great election night where we always say early returns and wide margins, meaning like there's just a lot of clarity. Sometimes that's not always the case, and then we deal with it then. And I think we do a really great job, just as the other clerks across the state do. And so what else did we forget?
Anything having to do with your registration or your sample ballot, you can find that on nmvote.org. People want to know if we rank one candidate 10 times, do those 10 votes count for that same candidate?
No. Not no, but heck no. The software that we use, which has been verified on many layers, not just at our state level, but at the federal level, does not allow that to happen. And it would actually come out as basically, and I think in that circumstance, one ranking would count.
That's right. So if you vote for the same person 10 times and don't rank any other candidates, only one of those votes is going to count for the candidate that you ranked. So
there you go. All right. Well, we are wrapping up Season 5, Episode 13, Preserving History and Democracy of the Doña County Clerk's Office. This is
Janice Giron.
My name is Amanda López Askin, proud to serve as your county clerk. Happy voting, everyone. Get out there, do the thing, and we'll see you on the other side.